Okay, welcome back, dreamers. Why did I swear to God, I sounded like Steven Tyler Perry for a second. I said, wow, fucking, what am I, Kiss now? No, but we are talking about something that I'm obsessed with. I'm wearing my Wicked t-shirt because it was the gateway musical. It's a lot of people's gateway musical, and I am obsessed with musicals. And we're talking In the Heights. We are talking In the Heights, okay? This movie this movie musical has me on edge. But this was the first musical I ever saw was Wicked. But that's all I'm going to say about it because I'm really excited to just start talking and getting into it. I'm going to start with the controversy, and then I'm going to go into like my opinions about it, and a lot of it's really good stuff. There's not that much I didn't like about it, to be quite frank. So let's get into the controversy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, In the Heights just came out on June 11th of this year, and it is based off of the musical of the same name, which started on Broadway in 2008 and ended its Broadway debut in 2011. Now, there are obviously some differences and things like that, but let's talk about the controversy, which is the fact that In the Heights is based out of Washington Heights in New York City, which is a very LatinX community. Like you go in the musical, what they say, if you go above 86th Street, oh goodness, I literally know every word. I never been north of never been north of 86th Street. Is it 96th? Oh my God. Now I gotta look it up. Now I gotta look it up. Hold please. But basically, in the Heights, like I said, lyrics. Let's see if it comes up. In the Heights, I've never been north of. I've never been north of 96th Street. Okay, 96th Street. But so you know, you got to go a little bit further than that. Like he says in the movie, it's you have to get off at 181st, take the escalator off. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the main character's name is Usnavi. And yeah, so it's a huge Latinx community, and the issue that a lot of people are having is the fact that there are no Afro Latins playing principal roles. Now, in the background, in the dancers, which there are hundreds of Latinx dancers in this movie, there is not a single white person in this movie. And I just want to point that out, which I think is absolutely incredible. Most of the people working on the film itself are not even white. I don't So I want to acknowledge there's a lot of going on right now. I'm sorry. I want to acknowledge my white privilege. I do understand that I have it, and I'm not going to go into super much talking about it. I have done a lot of research on it thus far. There is going to be a couple of videos linked in the description to people, specifically one person who went into detail of why it's kind of like wrong and annoying. And so go watch that. I urge you to go watch it because it is very detailed. It's very interesting, and it's an interesting opinion, point of view, thought, and a lot of people are having it. Is the fact that there's not a lot of Afro-Latin people. It's the controversy of colorism and the fact that there's not that many dark-skinned people. There's not really any at all dark-skinned people in the principal roles. You know, you have Benny and Sunny and Nina and Vanessa and Usnavi and the dad. And then, you know, Claudia, Abuela Claudia, and everyone else. And again, I'm white. I'm not going to talk about it. I want you to go listen. I want you to go do your own research. But the reason I am going to speak a little bit is because that community and Afro-Latin people have, you know, seem to be getting erased, at least in the principal roles. And again, there should be anger, every opinion is right, but I do want to acknowledge the fact that it is incredible that there are so many people in the background, and I think they're very recognizable in the fact that there are so many Afro Latin people, there are so many Latin people, there are so many body sizes, oh my God, with like close-up shots in bikinis. I was living. I was screaming the entire time. I was like, body sizes. I was like, body positivity, bitch. It was happening. I was so excited. And, even like, obviously I'm very Italian. I'm not Latin at all. I don't claim to be Latin. Why would I claim to be Latin? But like, even I saw I oddly like saw myself in it a little bit, because I was like, I was 210 pounds and I was like, this girl's getting it, these guys are getting it. I love that. And like, it just made me feel whole. And like, this movie's incredible. So the controversy of colorism, yeah. So people are mad that there aren't Afro Latins in principal roles. And I do want to say one thing about the situation in general is a lot of people, not a lot, I won't say a lot. Some people just are saying like they're white passing. And the only reason I really don't like the word white passing for the people, especially in this movie, it erases the fact that it feels like you don't even care about the other half of them, like their culture and where they do come from. Like, just because you can go on the street and, be white, quote unquote, like white passing, which by the way, again, I watched this movie being very unbiased. I had never heard the music. I had never really heard anything about it. I have a thing with musicals where I like to, if it's really important for me, I want to go see the stage show, or like obviously wait for the movie musical to come out before I go listen to it, because I want to see it in full before I like really dive in and like discover it. So I did that within the Heights, and that none of the cast to me screamed white. I'm white as fuck. Like, I'm the most palm colored person, y'all. Like, I look like Quaker Oats. I can't. But anyways, like, I'm very white. And so like, looking at them, to be quite frank, from this side, I didn't see a white person. Like, I know people are talking about like Vanessa, the woman who played Vanessa, and her being white passing. And to me, she looks very Latinx, And so, and I don't want to erase the culture that comes with, those people and what they've gone through. And she is Mexican, and she comes from doing telenovelas, and like, she's doing things that aren't traditionally like US or American. So I think that's really important to acknowledge the fact that like, you might be white passing, sure, okay, cool, great, but that doesn't mean that you didn't go through some of the struggles that Latinx people face, not just because of their skin tone, but because of their culture in general. So that's all I have to say about that. I just really enjoy like learning and figuring this, and educating myself, and making sure like I give my platform to voices like the person in the description. That way you guys can go hear it from them, who explains it really well. But I can also tell you guys, go educate yourselves and go learn up. But that's all I have to say about that. Actually, I do have like a little bit more tidbit of it, and I think this one's really important to say, because a lot of people aren't mad. And I'm not pitting people against each other, but I do want to recognize that some people aren't angry at all. And there's, I just literally saw a video on TikTok just 5 seconds ago about this girl who filmed a little bit of the carnival. I don't want to say it in the most white way possible. Carnaval de Barrio scene. They were filming it in their friend's apartment, and like, it's all above. If you're watching my YouTube, you can see it. Like, this person, their username is It's Me Sonali, ITSMESONALI on TikTok. They just posted it, and everyone is, some people are talking about the people in of color, and then some like the colorism behind the movie, but then some people are like this person said, I love the movie, but the only thing that made me kind of mad, they didn't have any Black representation in it. Someone said, all I see is color. I don't understand what some people are talking about. This person is very clearly Latinx. But I like this comment. It says, sorry, I'm sure there's a large part of the movie that's Afro-Latino, but the movie represented Latino people as a whole, and a lot of us loved it. And then someone said this feels more like seeing a typical Latin family gathering than filming of a movie. And I should know because I'm Puerto Rican. And I love the fact that it says that. I do want to acknowledge, I do see Afro Latinos. I understand that you exist. I am learning about you guys day by day, but that is what I wanted to say. This movie, I watched it for the first, you would have thought I had seen this thing back in 2008 on stage. I watched this movie about a week and a half ago for the first time. I've already seen it twice. I haven't listened. I can't even make this shit up. I have not listened, sorry, to anything else besides this soundtrack since then. It's like I'm getting on my own nerves because I'm like, I got to start listening to other things. Otherwise, it's going to drive me crazy, but I can't. And I have to learn every single word from this musical. I want to know, and whatever. And the fact that I'm even talking about this means that it's working. Like, it shouldn't be controversial, no. However, we're talking about it, and that's what's important. And I think that's the thing that we need to focus on. Well, we need to educate and obviously learn about Afro Latinos and everything that comes with being Latinx, and not just the good things about the Latinx culture, but the bad things that we need to educate ourselves on as well. But my point to that is I have done more research on the Latinx community in the past week and a half than I have probably done in my life. I took 2 years of Spanish. Obviously, I did US history. But if you're anything like me and you went to a public school in America, this shit isn't like, none of it's taught. You don't get taught about like Latinx culture. You don't get taught about Afro Latinas because they are a race. They are seemingly invisible to, at least like for me, the white cis, well, just like, we don't need to go into that, just like even like base level white American person, it seems like they're erased. This movie has shown me that they are out there, and I put myself out there to educate myself and learn about that culture and understand that culture. And it's made me want to only literally do things that are Latinx. I want to listen to Latinx movies. I want to see more Latinx I've only listened to Latinx music. I want to hear, or I want to see more Latinx movies, Latinx TV shows. I want to see, sorry, my sister's like calling me. I don't know what's going on. What the heck? Excuse me, I should have turned my phone off. I was getting in my groove. I have done so much research on everything about this movie, down to the actors and the music, who did the choreography, how did they do the things. I've been looking on TikTok and seeing all the behind the scenes, and like I said, the body sizes. And now I'm talking at the movie as a whole, not just the principal roles, excuse me, of there is a lot of skin tones, there is a lot of culture, there is a lot of from the food to the bodegas to the learning of the more Spanish words like the barrio and the different I didn't quite frankly realize there were more dances in Latinx than just the well, I mean, hip hop was involved, but like, and I know about reggaeton, but like the dance hall and the salsa and the merengue, and like I know those terms, but I didn't understand the differences, and I didn't understand the fact that those just aren't the only Latinx. There are so many, and there are, they have some names and I can look them up, but I urge you to go do the same, and down to the Latinx beats of the musical. The excuse me if I'm wrong, but it starts with a C, but the Calva rhythm, which is 3 beats rest on 2 beats. So the oh shit, like in the beginning of In the Heights, where it's like I'm doing it so bad. I'm sorry. I was white clapping there, and I hate when people white clap. I'm really usually good at rhythm, but somehow I can't think of the rhythm right now, which is weird because I've only listened to it. But it's got the little, like the little tap, like the little taps of the thing. But that's traditionally um, like a Latinx beat, rhythm, and so it's incredible. And the fact that I'm only seeing Latinx people, and it makes me, about dreams and about jobs and about Washington Heights. All I want to do is engage myself, indulge myself in this culture, and learn about like all of the stories of the actual actors and actresses, of where they came from and why they immigrated, or do they still live in that country and they got the role, and like, and then I obviously go deeper into the separations of the Dominican Republic and the Mexican culture and the Puerto Rican culture, Venezuelan, Guatemalan, like the separation of them, because they are so vastly different. And most people, I think it is cool, and I don't know if this term is not politically correct, and I know there's controversy behind the interview of the root, but I do like the term, and again, if it's offensive, I'm sorry, but I do like the term melting pot, because Washington Heights does have all of that thing. And I keep telling people, like, New York City is such a culture shock, because there are so many people from so many different places bringing together their cultures to make sure that like none of it's erased. And that's why I think the Afro Latins, even though they are in the background, are still so important, because I am learning. And I love, and it ties into the beginning of the movie where it goes, like, I'm from Washington Heights, and he's like talking, he's talking to the children, and he's like, please, like say, like, I'm from Washington Heights, say it so it doesn't go away, like say it so it doesn't get gentrified. Which is another like thing in the movie that I'm obsessed with, is some of the other issues that they bring up. And it's, and a lot of other Latinx things are so stereotyped on gangs and crimes and drugs and shootings and all of that. And this movie shows a different side of Latinx that engages you in the entire culture that you want to learn about. Like I said, the music and the food and the people, the different skin colors, and maybe specifically where they come from, and the different dances, um, and all of that. Um, and I think that's so interesting. And then of course you have Vanessa, who wants to go downtown, and she's got this passion for fashion, and Nina, who wants to, is struggling with going back to college and finishing her degree at Stanford, and all of that. If you hear anything in the background, I have my door open. I know it sounds stupid, and it's cheesy and dumb. It really is. But I was like, I want to engage myself in this discussion while also, like, going hard and like engaging in the culture, and like a lot of people in New York City in general, and specifically in the Heights and things like that, everyone is so close together, and everyone always, there's always something going on outside. So I opened my door specifically so I could just listen. Just like Nina says, I want to just listen to my neighborhood for a second. That's annoying. I don't know if you can hear that, but that is annoying. But it's still, quote unquote, my neighborhood. And I love that. And I think engaging in culture, a specifically those of which you don't know, is so important. And again, like, I do want to say, please go research, enjoy the Latinx culture from, all of the things that I already said. Enjoy it all, enrich yourself, but also learn about the struggles that they're going through and all of that. Like, specifically, like in the movie, gentrification's brought up a lot. You have dreamers, and what involves undocumented immigrants. Did I say that right? Undocumented immigrants. I think that's a word. Undocumented. Sure. And that whole storyline, like make sure like you're not just like um glorifying the good parts of the culture without understanding the background and how they got here and where they came from, because they did struggle. And I urge you to go watch the movie, of course, um and listen to the parts of No Me Diga right before Daniela speaks about what they did go through in the slave ships and things like that. But here's the thing. Here's the other part that I want to get to. So, like I said, like this already makes me want to go look at more Afro Latinx uh, uh, culture and things like that, because I don't know a lot about them. And so I want to do that, but don't boycott the movie. And uh, it's an incredible movie, and you shouldn't boycott it anyway. The music's incredible, the choreography, the cinematography, the music, and everything that goes along with that is incredible. It is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite movies I've seen in my entire life. Seriously, it is so good. And I just think, obviously boycotting it would be a horrible thing. In fact, I urge everyone to go see it. Every single person, no matter what you look like, what you like in movies or musicals. If you don't like musicals, go see it. Like, because this, like I said, this movie is all Latinx people, specifically in the movie, and mostly all Latinx people who are making the movie itself. And that's what's important, is because Latinx people and Afro Latinx people specifically will not get a chance to unerase themselves, which they didn't do, I understand, but they won't be able to tell their stories if we boycott this movie because of some of the controversy on colorism. They won't be able to get their In the Heights movie that they deserve. Um, so we need to call to action for more Latinx stories. And then obviously that's a generalized group into the different cultures between Afro Latinx and then obviously the different cultures that come with being Guatemalan, Venezuelan, and all of that. So go watch the movie. It's really important. And then here's the thing is like, so pretend you're 35 and you're seeing this movie and you're like, okay, well, I'm mad because there's no Afro Latinx as principal roles. You need to go see the movie, give it money so that, the Hollywood can see that these are the stories that we want to tell. Not only that, then you have the people who are doing these plays in high school, or excuse me, these musicals in high school, who are seeing this and can engage in those conversations. And then those people who are in high school seeing the controversy of this movie, researching the controversy of this movie, the erasure of Afro-Latins, then they are interested in Afro-Latins, and then how can we change that? And then there's maybe an Afro-Latin out there who's going to see this in high school right now with the controversy and be like, I want to write something for Afro-Latins. And then that can become the next In the Heights. Like, this is what we need to do. Is it bad? Yes. But it's not all bad. This is a huge learning and growing opportunity that can shine. So we need to push it. Go see the movie. I'm obsessed with it. That is literally the biggest rant that I've gone on that issue. So but still go listen to other people's information. I'm going to put the person's video that I listen to. I think it is very intuitive. I think it is very smart. And I think you guys need to go listen to it because it is important. Sorry, I was checking a message. So like I said, I didn't see the stage version. However, because of the research that I've done, I have seen kind of some of the differences between it, and I just want to talk about it. A couple of them, and one that I noticed almost right out of the way was the fact that in 96,000, there's a line that says, Donald Trump and I will become business partners or something like that. And instead, they change it to Tiger Woods. I'll be richer than Nina's daddy. Tiger Woods and I, something about a caddy. And I, first of all, I love that. I think it's not even savage. I think it's just incredible the fact that they took it out, and it's so important. And you can't have a movie like this without, and keep in mind, politics aren't just about, presidents and things like that. Like, this movie in a way is political, and the fact that they took Trump out is incredible, and it's great, and I love it. Um, because if we're being real, and not to get political, but if we're being real, Donald Trump didn't do well with Latinx people, and not even just now at this point, I'm talking about the community as a whole, is that it felt, very like, obviously he's a very white forward person. And so Latinx people specifically, even though, he's from New York, like, just got erased as a whole. And I didn't really know that much about Washington Heights before this either. And people like my parents still talk about even Harlem as this place of, you know, harm and crime and things like that. But, and I'm not saying that there isn't, but it's harmful rhetoric to be like, as specifically when they talk about it, again, I'm gonna talk about it in the fact that they talk about it this way, not how I talk about it. But they say stuff like, "Oh, those people, like in Washington Heights, are doing drugs or doing crime." And first of all, harmful rhetoric of calling them those people, not saying their names and recognizing who they are, and even their names have rich culture behind them. Um, and then obviously it's just horrible, and it Washington Heights now has a special place in my heart, and I've never been. And and it was mostly all filmed in Washington Heights. Um, and I want to go to the pool. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but during 96,000, there's this pool. And I was like, huh, I never, like, is there a pool? Because you think New York, there's not a lot of people who are like, yeah, there's a pool. Fun fact, there's a community pool in Washington Heights. I don't remember the name of it. Washington Heights, let's see, pool. It has a very specific name. The High Bridge, I think it's a High Bridge pool. Yes, it is the High Bridge pool in Washington Heights. And I was like, oh my God, there's a community pool. Like, that's so cool. Like, why are more people not talking about it? Why are people not showing this off? Why are more people not going is another thing, is like, and I heard, back to gentrification, Lin-Manuel Miranda grew up in Washington Heights and was talking about how there was a Starbucks now, and how there's a line in it that rent keeps escalating and they might not be able to afford to live there, and that's super sad. And like, we need to do the things to help that community out, like do the local coffee shop, excuse me, buy the lottery tickets from the local bodega. These things help these people. Even going and recognizing that High Bridge pool is something of that community is really important, whether you want to be an ally or whether you are a part of that community. And I'm obviously more speaking towards the allies. Like, we need to do better, and we need to recognize these communities. And and there are plenty of other places, not specifically like Washington Heights, but there are other places where that is happening, and we need to help preserve the communities. Specific areas like Miami is a huge Latinx community, has a huge Latinx community. Um, and of course, like, other cities have them as well. So support your local communities that need help if you can, when you can. And I know a lot of people, like, during Pride Month, will talk about buying local from, you know, gay stores, like even online, like Etsy gay stores and things like that. Or sorry, LGBTQ plus stores, like queer owned businesses. I don't know why I couldn't figure out that word, queer owned businesses. And then we talk, we are starting to talk more about Black owned businesses. But, sometimes we do need that separation of, hey, we also need to be buying from Latinx owned businesses as well, because that's important. We can't leave and I say this, we being a minority, because I'm in the LGBTQ community, we being a minority can't leave other minorities behind, and we have a duty to each other to say our names, to preserve our culture, to, and I'm not saying like I have culture because I'm white, but like, you know, the things that come along with being in the LGBTQ community and the stories that we have to tell, and then that goes along, you know, we as brothers and sisters of the minorities, we have to stick together. We have to speak our stories, because quite frankly, the people who aren't a minority, the straight people, the white people, sure, we might be getting better at it, but we as a minority understand the struggles from a very young age, and we can, you know, sprint right into it. We can talk about it and progress the conversations and start the conversations and continue the conversations and buy from the businesses and listen to the music and make each other those foods from our different cultures, and we can really, really keep those communities alive. So the Trump thing. Camilla no longer has a mother in the movie, which again didn't bother me. Obviously, I've never seen the musical. It didn't bother me as much. It was a 2.5 hour movie, and learning about the different stories in general was really, really entertaining for me, and I really enjoyed it. But it says that, and I've since then listened to the original soundtrack, and there's a couple of songs written out: Sunrise, Enough, Hundreds of Stories, Attention, Everything I Know. um I missed one. And a nulty, I think is how you say it. um if I'm saying it wrong, excuse me. But those were taken out. Now I understand some people obviously have different options of what they would have liked. The other video down below is by a person I really love, and was talking about the things that she saw between the musical and the movie, and she's going to probably make another video about it. But she really likes Everything I Know rather than When the Sun Goes Down, and I agree. My least favorite song, I believe, let me look it up, In the Heights soundtrack. I know it by heart by this point, but no, where's the track list? Please and thank you. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. My favorites are no. Here we go. No Me Diga. I think my top two are No Me Diga and Carnival de Barrio. Like it is. Ew, I said it's so white. Ugh. I want to learn Spanish. That's the other thing, is it makes me want to learn Spanish so badly. Like I said, I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, and I've always wanted to like continue to learn it. And this movie really sparked that for me. And like I said, I've been learning every fucking word that I can from this musical, and I know basically every fucking word to this musical, and in English and then in Spanish, so I know what they both mean. So Carnival de Barrio and No Me Diga are incredible. There's not too many songs I don't like. There's really only one, maybe two, just because I'm not a huge like slow person when it comes to stuff. But like When the Sun Goes Down and Champagne, just like I have a very slow, like especially because When the Sun Goes Down is right after Carnival de Barrio, and it feels like a little bit slower, and it ends on a high note and speeds back up, but it just, you know, loses its traction just a little bit. And I know that the person that I linked down below likes Everything I Know and wishes that was in it besides that one. So I definitely like agree with that. I think, you know, there's a lot in here that there's a, well, not a lot, but there's definitely a couple things in here that are different. Um, this is my favorite. So apparently in the play, Daniela and Carla are just, you know, two different people, just, you know, working together still and cool, whatnot. But in the movie musical, Daniela and Carla are a couple. They're lesbians, and I'm obsessed with it. I love it. And it's, you know, it's subtle, and it's not a part of the story. It's not a part of the plot, which I love. Nobody's distraught by it. Nobody's upset by it. And I think it's important to acknowledge the intersectionality that comes from not only, like we said before, Afro Latinx people who obviously have intersectionality, but also the other minorities of being Latinx and queer. So the Daniela and Carla by far are definitely one of my favorite characters, and the fact that they're lesbian and the cute little glances and the looks and the like shaking their tatas at each other, and sitting together in 96,000 and they're resting on each other, and the little kiss in the very beginning that's pretty quick, and moving on together to their new place in the Grand Concourse in the Bronx. It's just so sweet and I love it. I'm obsessed with it. And the other huge thing, actually two things, that are different that I just really want to talk about. There's obviously some more things. I'll link the article that I found the differences in down below as well. Is the lottery ticket. And I really enjoy the fact that Claudia, Abuela Claudia does not disclaim that she won the ticket. And we don't really know whether she knows or not before, spoiler alert, by the way, if we didn't know already, before she dies in the movie. And I just really like that because no one's questioning it. Nobody's asking for the money. Nobody's curious of where it went. Because, and the reason I like it is because without knowing who got it, they still have their sueñito, their little dream. It doesn't matter who has the money or how much it is or where they got it from. They're going to still work their asses off to get their little sueñito. And I love that. And I love that so much. And I know, I'm sure it's incredible in the musical. And there's like two songs about, or there's a song and then like a change in the song about her knowing, but I just love the fact that she doesn't, or at least doesn't disclose that information. I actually really, really like that. And then the other thing that it says here is that in the stage version, Nina goes back to Stanford to honor Abuela Claudia. And that's it. But in the movie, she goes back, which it's mentioned that she does go back for Abuela Claudia, but not only that, but for Sunny and to help the dreamers and those who are put down, jeopardized for racial prejudice and immigrant status and, everything that comes with being a dreamer. And I don't want to like negate the stuff from the play. Sorry, I don't know why I keep saying that. I know better than that. The musical. However, her going back just for Abuela Claudia is very pressurized to me. And it just is not enough for me to be like, you can't just go for one person because I know that she raised her, but it's like, she died. And it's like, I have to do this for her. But she's doing it for her. But now she's not just doing it for her, she's doing it for her community. For Abuela Claudia, for the entire community of Washington Heights, but then the entire community of dreamers, not just in New York City, but everywhere, and trying to speak up about that, and trying to educate people. Like, I know it's just a movie, but like, even in that movie, like, she wants to go on and, help other people with understanding what a dreamer is, how it works, why we shouldn't be so negligent and so disgusting to immigrants and people who are trying to find safe haven, and immigrants and things like that, people like that, excuse me. It gives more depth. it gives more depth for her to go back to Stanford, and it gives more of a reason to do so. And I really, really enjoy that. I kind of already told you my favorite songs. I love all the dancing numbers, like the huge dance numbers. The group numbers are incredible. The dancing is immaculate. I've been talking a little bit a while, and I've already kind of told you my favorite parts. I've already told you I really like the movie, because there's not too much I don't like about it. And it sparked so much inspiration in me, like I said, to go explore the Latinx community more. And to be quite frank, I love Latin music so much, like so much. That is so, excuse me, so catchy and so fun and so sexy and passionate, and it makes you want to shake everything, fuck your ass. Like it makes you want to shake your head, like bop your head and move your shoulders and move your arms and your elbows, your knees, your toes. Like it just makes you want to get up and dance all parts of your body and just celebrate life. That's what this movie and that's what Latinx music does to me. It makes me want to celebrate life, which is something crazy to say, is that pop music, sure, there's specific songs that might feel that way. And I'm sure like Latinx music is very particular as well. But when I hear pop music, I hear here's a specific instance, like for a specific type of scenario. Like my boyfriend broke up with me. I used to do drugs. I have sex a lot. None of it's really like here's a whole like I'm celebrating life, and that's what Latinx music, and like I said, this movie as well, makes me feel like I'm celebrating life. Carnival de Barrio especially just makes me want to get up and dance and makes me feel like I'm celebrating life and all cultures. um Even though like there are specific cultures in the movie, and they talk about like Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic and the Caribbean and things like that. um but it really just gets me happy about my own life too. Like, it's not even really, I don't even want to say it's not made for me. It's like, this movie is made for everyone. And there's an interview with Lin-Manuel Miranda saying that he's so proud that 80-year-old grandmas are coming up to him and being like, I don't like rap, but I really like your stuff. Because it's not just rap. Like this stuff is so inspiring. And like, I'll be blunt. I really don't like I really don't like um, Hamilton that much, for many reasons, and we can get into it. If anyone wants that kind of explanation in video, I can get into that. But I've changed my mind on Lin-Manuel Miranda and the things that he produced, and obviously, I know that this came first. I just so happened to know things about Hamilton before I knew things about this, because I wanted to see this before I got like I wanted to see it as a whole before I got into like listening to the music and things like that, because it was announced like 2 or 3 years ago when I really got into this, and knew about it. But I've changed my opinion about Lin-Manuel Miranda and the other people in this movie, Anthony Ramos and things like that. And he is gorgeous. Oh my God. And everybody in this musical is insanely beautiful and gorgeous. And it's a movie that not only shares cultures, but like I said, body sizes and skin tones and things like that. It celebrates life and everybody who's different, and everybody who has a dream, and everybody who has a unique dream. One's going to be helping dreamers and the other one's going to be a fashionista. Like those are two completely different things, but they live in the same community. And I think that's so cool. So I do recommend you go see this movie if you can put money towards it to go see it in the movie theater. It's what I recommend. If you want, it is on HBO Max until July 11th. When I urge you to go buy the soundtrack on wherever you listen to music, iTunes, whatever, like stream it on Spotify. This needs to blow up for the Latinx community, so we can see more things like it, and not just have one-off movies that are Crazy Rich Asians, In the Heights. Like we don't need one-offs. We need incredible storytelling of different Latinx stories different Asian stories. And I one last thing as I wrap this up. I urge you as well. I don't like West Side Story. I'm gonna put that out there. I really don't like it as a musical. I will be going to see it, but I don't like it, but I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna support it because it's another movie where there are Latinx people in it. Um, it needs to be, said. I do think In the Heart is going to be reigning supreme. They are going to be up against each other in the Tonys, and I'm not going to preemptively put myself in a corner, but I do really want In the Heights to sweep again. I think it would be incredible for the community. I think it'd be incredible for people like Lin-Manuel Miranda and people who are like him, who want to start writing musicals and things like that, who, if you are out there, I urge you to continue to tell your story or tell stories of communities and people that are misrepresented. I can't speak today. Misrepresented as well as underrepresented, because those are the most important. And by the way, they're also starting to become the best. I just want to see anything that's a minority at this point. I want to see more Asians on screen. I want to see more Latinx. I want to see more intersectionality of Afro Latinx um, and I don't know what they're specifically called, so apologies if this is not what they're called, but Afro Asians and the LGBTQ community. I'm tired of seeing straight white stories which aren't mutually, like I'm tired of it. And I think we all are at this point. Like, give us the diversity, give us the culture, give us the body sizes, the skin tones, the races, the different languages, give it to us. I want it. I know you should want it. That's not even a question. You should want it as well. So like I said, go watch In the Heights. HBO Max till July 11th. It's already in the movie theaters everywhere, or most everywhere because of the pandemic. Be safe. But seriously, go watch it because you're going to miss your opportunity. You're not going to miss your opportunity. When it comes out, you better buy it on DVD or rent it or whatever. Like, seriously, throw all of your money at this, okay? Because this is so important. But I love you guys. And I'm gonna go listen to the soundtrack and probably watch the movie again. I'm gonna watch it as many times as I can before July 11th. I love you. This has been Deeper Conversations with your host, Matthew Silvers. Go watch a musical.